Something called a lightning round. I think that just means you're gonna answer questions faster. Right?
So it'll be 1 minute? It's going to be 1 minute?
Yeah, let's just do 1 minute, and I'll try to give you some questions that you can do in 1 minute. World peace.
That's a Rena question. That's a Rena question.
Let's narrow it down to, we're always worried that when a person gets elected, because they say a lot of things in a campaign, and then they get to into their position and they get there, no matter whether it's state or federal, and they all of a sudden stop listening to the people that voted for them, and they start listening to people who have the time and the money. Sometimes they call them lobbyists, sometimes they call them special interests, that sort of thing. Obviously, we've got people in our lives that support us. Some like to support us more than others in terms of money, in terms of even gifts that allow us to do things that we need to do in a campaign, and even running for the next campaign, because your term is only 2 years, so pretty much you got, what, a year to do something, and then a year to campaign for hopefully getting another 2 years, which gives you a year to do something before you're then running again, if you're going to do more than that. So my question, and hopefully you can come up with some quick answers, is what are you going to do personally in regards to lobbyists and self-interest groups that come to you wanting to have you do their bidding rather than the bidding of the citizens that voted you in. So, and let's just go down the road this time. So, Nathan, you're going to kick us off, and we'll just go down the road.
Thank you. So, first off, I've been dealing with this for 12 years, right, on county commission, and so you have lots of folks who have kind of narrow but deep interest on an issue. And so I've always been big, and have said this many times to my fellow commissioners, we don't vote just based on the faces that are in a room on any given day. And I've never been afraid to take a vote that made folks that were there looking at me upset. If I truly believed what was in the best interest of the community on that issue was to take a different position, even though maybe there were 5, 10, 12, 15 people that were on one side of the issue showed up and no one showed up on the other side of the issue. So I would say the same thing relative to lobbyists. Now look, we're all running campaigns. You have to have the resources to get your message out there. You can be the best candidate ever, but if you can't get your message to the voters, you're not going to get elected. So I'll take your money. I have no problem taking campaign money, and then I have no problem telling someone, I'm sorry, but I can't support your position on this issue once we get to the next word. Because I'm going to do what's right at the end of the day, and I expect most other candidates will do the same. So for me, it's a pretty simple issue. When you get to Tallahassee, you vote your conscience, just like I did when I got on the county commission, and you voted my conscience. Thank you.
Well, Nathan's correct. It obviously does take money to run a campaign. Running a campaign is very expensive, and money is important. That being said, when you're dealing with politics, and in particular career politicians care about 3 things. 1, getting elected. 2, getting reelected. 3, getting elected to higher office. I'm not a career politician. I'm an attorney by career. I have a wonderful job at the state attorney's office. If I get elected in this position to represent this district, it's going to be wonderful, because I'm going to get to fight for this district and represent this district's interests. But if I fall short and I'm not elected, it's going to be okay. I'm not in this to become a career politician. I'm in this to make sure that the district has the best representation possible. And I'm not taking a dime of PAC money. I will stand up and say, no, I'm not going to support it. I haven't taken your money. I don't owe you anything.
I'd say I'm 100% against taking money from any PACs to change my mind. I think it's a process that shouldn't be happening. I don't think it's what our forefathers intended to be doing with the lawmaking process. And I don't think that you should be able to profit from the decisions that you make at the House of Representatives. So, but the one thing that you have to consider is that there are lobbyists on both sides. So while you may have to say no to some of them, you can say yes actually believe it, and you can still profit from lobbyists. So just something else to consider. Thank you.
Well, I think I'll point, you think about lobbyists, right? I think I'm gonna point them to the supervisor elections office so they can go and run a candidacy and run for a public office so they can try to get the wheel of what they want done. Because I tell you a short story I got done in a minute, right? So I had small business people come to me and they wanted me to sign up for a small business and such and so on. And the whole time the lady was like, you know, well, we lobby for this, we lobby for this, we've done that, we've done all these things. She said, we changed that law. We made that happen. Well, that kind of hit me kind of hard. You did. The small business people did. Well, what about that representative that I elected? Where was their voice? So you're telling me that you went to Tallahassee and you changed legislation based on your lobby. Well, that's wrong. The people didn't vote in a lobbyist. They voted in a representative. So I'm not a fan of lobbying, that's for sure. And the other thing is I couldn't take PAC money. I couldn't do any of that. I didn't even ask for any money in this campaign. What money I got, somebody give to me. But there's one thing. I've got to sleep good at night. I've got kids that I have to look in the face within my district. And I have to come back and look at the people at Pick and Save, at Baker Feed, and at the Sefco, and the Marathon gas station where I live. So I can't cheat them and I can't do them wrong because I still got to live there. So no lobbyists for me.
Thank you.
So I'll revert to one thing that I've done, not only here, once I've retired, but also in the military, is you always under-promise and over-deliver, right? And so when I talk about the people here, or we talk about how you're gonna know you're gonna represent the people, we say one thing and do another. I've got my one son that just graduated in the military already. My youngest son's back there, freshman year, locally within Base High School. And what I say is the people here are gonna see me. I'm gonna be at the high school games. I'm gonna be here in the EZ or down at the baseball game. And I don't want people to come up to me and say, you're the guy that promised, and I gotta see you. Or kids at school, especially when kids are these days, they see my son say, your dad's one that says he's gonna fix the infrastructure. And then he's gotta deal with my results. So whatever I say, I'm gonna back it with my integrity and my word. When it comes to the lobbyists, I say, kind of what Rena said, and maybe that's a little off what Nathan said, is there are certain PACs or there's certain lobbyists that are for good causes. And I said that some people kind of challenged me, like the ones that are fighting for cancer, right? The ones that are fighting for certain health research and other things. We could use their money because it's for a good cause, but it has to be a good cause that backs the people. And the last thing to come out of time is just to remember that because it's also in our title, right? It doesn't say state leader, state dictator. It says state representative. You represent what the people want. And so again, it goes back to you, what you want, and that's what we represent. That's what we go and push laws for. It's not the Jamie bill. It's not the Hayden bill. It's what the District 3 people want.
All right, thank you. Now, speaking of items of health, and this may be unfair in regards to the fact that we do have a health professional here, but I think as most people, were pretty upset by the COVID lockdowns, the masking, all of the things that even our hospitals did that cause us not to, I think some of us cause us not to trust them. There's certain hospitals I will not go to because as far as I'm concerned, I feel like that they actually contributed to the death of one of my close friends. And how do you feel about the next pandemic that they may try to unleash? Because there are a lot of labs that could possibly leak, either by accident or on purpose. How do you feel that Florida, as a state, should handle? I know we did pretty good, but we could have done better, right? And I know a lot of that comes from the governor, but the governor can be pressured by the state representatives to make the right decisions. And in terms of making sure that our rights are upheld, I want to hear how you feel about it, how you felt about the last one. And actually, we may need to do 2 minutes for this one. I don't want you to sweat trying to get through 1 minute to describe this. And this is very personal to me, and I think probably a lot of people, and how they were treated, how their businesses maybe even collapsed during that time because they were considered non-essential businesses, which is ludicrous. We're all essential to each other's happiness and success in living this life. So, anybody, tell you what, since it is a health related, we'll let you start there in the middle, Ms. Rena.
Oh, it's going to be 1 minute or 2 minutes?
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
I'd say that on this issue, the people of Florida have spoken. The people of Florida got out in vast amounts to protest the COVID vaccine, and if a related issue comes up again, I'm sure that we will rally to do just the same. Obviously, we weren't following the science, and this is part of my campaign where I feel like we really do need some medical personnel in the House of Representatives, because when these health issues come up, who better to decide about the future of your health but somebody who got the highest grade in their microbiology class? You know, there are some things that a lawyer can't decide for you. So for me, I believe in freedom of medical. I was there, as I said, I protested the vaccine. I was there for the signing of the documents with Ron DeSantis. And I am very hopeful with RFK Jr. and the Make America Healthy Again coming along, that lots of things maybe will be passing through the legislature that you're going to need me for. I think that we need to get the food with the toxins off the shelves and lower the amount of pesticides that are being used. There are so many things that could be coming in the next 4 years through the legislature everywhere that are going to need medical decision makers. So I think that we're just lucky to live in the great state of Florida, because where better than here to live when we get hit with the next pandemic, to be honest.
Amen. All right. Hey, come on, hey. We'll start to do the middle thing out.
All right, we're switching it up a little bit. Well, just to touch on something that Rena said, she said, who better to decide than somebody who got the highest rating in their microbiology class? Who's better to decide? You, the people. It is about what you think is best for your body and what you think is best for your health. Me personally, I have not taken a single COVID test. I have not had a single COVID vaccination. Why? Frankly, I don't trust them. Absolutely. At all. The medical freedom bill that Dr. Ruggan pushed through was phenomenal. Under no circumstances should anybody be forced to wear a mask out in public or be forced to take any sort of vaccination or medication. There's no excuse for that. The voters of this district are smart. The people of this district understand what is best for them. And if they want to take the risk of not taking a particular vaccination or medication, that is absolutely their right. As far as the people who are responsible for the COVID pandemic, Anthony Fauci should be in prison. He should be on trial for mass murder. He should be on trial for treason. And Joe Biden's pardon of Anthony Fauci is an absolute slap in the face of the people of this country.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, I guess,
There you go.
there we go. I definitely agree in the free choice of, you shouldn't be forced to have a vaccine. Me personally, I took the pneumococcal shot because what I saw was a lot of people were dying of pneumonia, and that pneumococcal shot helps with pneumonia and the buildup of the fluid on your lungs. Being a military person and being a veteran, I can assure you that I know that he done the same thing. We went to basic training, we stood in the line, and we just stood in the line and they just put things in our arms and didn't have a clue what it was. When I was in the military, I got something that was the anthrax shot, and I had an adverse reaction to that. And that made me start to question a little bit of things about what the government was going to give me. I definitely was not going to trust the federal government when it come to all of a sudden, let's whip out this 6-month shot or whatever it was, and trust me to take it. Absolutely not. And the mask mandate, I did not agree with it. My company was wide open. If you wanted to come into my company with no mask, that was your right. If you wanted to wear one, that was also your right. It had to be your decision. And I guess the best way I figured out not to get COVID was don't go get tested. I may have had it, I don't know. I felt really bad one day and I went home, and I can tell you, I can count on one hand how many times I went home sick in my lifetime. 3. That's it. And that was the one time, the last time that I went home sick. And I may have had it, and I didn't go get tested, but we definitely need to leave the decisions of that kind of stuff to the medical professionals and not the bureaucrats. We have a kid that had a heart transplant, and he didn't have to do any of that stuff because they recommended that he not take it. And these are people down in Gainesville that they're supposed to be on the top of what's going on, and they knew better than to give it to somebody. So you have to trust your doctors. Don't trust the bureaucrats and the people in Tallahassee that are not even medical professionals to make decisions for your health. Definitely, I agree with her. Medical people have to make that decision, not Tallahassee bureaucrats or Washington bureaucrats.
All right, come on, Jamie.
So the only thing I guess I would counter all the means that there, which is very few things when we can talk, as you just said, that the doctors and the nurses need to make those decisions. But if you look at the COVID, that's who did make those decisions, right? So Dr. Fauci and his clowns. So what I'll say is I'm definitely not for any mandate or any shot. You can look at my social media at the beginning of the campaign. They tried to use it as a smear. While everybody was locked in their houses and locked down, afraid of COVID, I was out doing survival training in the woods, motivating people to watch me do what I was doing. So that stands for itself. There was no mask or anything at that time when I was doing that survival. What I say is naturally, as Americans, we're non-submissive, right? And to me, that was a way of trying to not only take away masculinity, but make us submissive to believe that could happen. And once you put fear into people, you get them to start believing it. And then it just can't, I don't know how many times I would go by and see people in their cars with the same little mask, but that mask doesn't do it. I mean, people that work in toxic environments use bigger masks than that. So it's like, how do we even get our brains to think this little unfiltered mask was working? So absolutely not, do not agree, would not support anything with that. I believe it is people's choice. So I would be against anything that mandates something. Ultimately, you have that choice. But the only thing I will say where my experience comes from is exactly what Wade said. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by trade, but one thing I work with several veterans and we're trying to put something together at some point is a lot of illnesses and a lot of unexplained things that happen to veterans that were in the military. That some went to Afghanistan, some went to Iraq, Vietnam, but they weren't ever at the same places. How is that possible? When you draw that triangle line, or I don't know if that falls in the engineering department or not, when you start making those scales, where do they intersect, where do they come together? The only thing that Wade has in common with me as an Air Force guy and me as an Army guy is when we were deployed somewhere or we get a basic, we went through those same lines and got those same inoculations. When we came back, we got those same shots. So in time, I think this is going to come out, but pharma is big money, people support that, and they're afraid, at least in the veteran community, to do the research on that, because think of how many veterans they would have to pay for the illnesses that they've caused through those inoculations. So absolutely, I am not for it, and you have no choice.
All right, thank you. All right, David.
Yeah, I think the question is kind of how we'll deal with these issues if we're elected at the time to deal with this next issue. And so what I'm just going to do is reference back to my kind of lived experience, and I think I can say that I'm probably the candidate that was actually in the leadership position having to figure out how to make decisions. So I was on the Okaloosa County Commission when the pandemic happened. I also happened to have a small business that we were just getting off the ground and growing and had a few employees, and it was a terrifying period of time for us as business owners. As an elected official trying to make decisions, it was terrible. We had folks, we had the director of the Department of Health coming and telling us that, we did not take action, that thousands of people in our county were going to die. So I think what's important really is to, learn from those past experiences, and I'll use Governor DeSantis as an example. He did a great job of reopening the state of Florida, but what folks forget is first thing he did is he shut down the state of Florida, and because he was acting on the best information that he had at the time. And so you couldn't go get a haircut, you couldn't get, elective surgeries, you couldn't go to the gym, you couldn't, vacation rentals were forced to shut. We were actually starting a little business servicing that industry, and it shut that down and shut down the business for a lot of our clients. And so, what he got right was he quickly adapted to the information that was available and made quick decisions and leaned in to reopen it quickly, and I think that's really important. And so I've been through all of that. On the mask mandate issue, one of the decisions I'm most proud of being on the Okaloosa County Commission, because we were getting pressured. I had the base commander of Robert calling and saying, you must, as a county, mandate that people wear masks in public. And this is coming from a commander, a high-level commander, because, quite frankly, he didn't want to have to mandate his people. He wanted to pass that to us and claim it as a national security issue. The idea that I'm proud of, that I came up with, that we ultimately adopted in Okaloosa County, was for businesses in Okaloosa County, you simply had to post your policy on your door. It was very simple. If you wanted to mandate masks, it's private property, it's your right to do so. But then, as citizens, as individuals, as consumers, you could then decide not to shop there. The same thing, if you just simply wanted to make masks optional, you absolutely could do that. You just had to post it so that everyone was informed and could then make their own individual decisions at the end of the day. And that's how you make decisions as government. You don't mandate. You simply inform people, you arm them with the information.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, we good for one last question? One last question. We will go back to 1 minute. We'll just do a quick one. And this one for me is on education. And obviously Trump is going to, he has already stated, and I think he's pretty much already shut down the Department of Education, correct?
Yes.
So that means that hopefully whatever monies were flowing to that department will flow out back to the states, and hopefully the states will have a lot more money to do good things in our own education. So how do you, in this district, I am curious as to how you feel about our current education in Santa Rosa County, or in this district, okay, in regards to whether or not our standards are high enough based on the metrics that we have seen out in public. And so what do you think about our education system here in our district based on the public education coming back to the states themselves? So, and oh goodness. Well, let's just start back down at the end, and we'll go this way. So, Jamie, go ahead and kick this off.
Okay. So for me, I think it's a good decision to bring education here to Florida. That led, especially with a lot of the corruption and a lot of the shady issues and things that are being taught, to include DEI and some of the other things, that in Florida where we don't go for those things, that gives us the right and the power now to say, hey, this is what we're going to do for our children and our education. One of the things for teachers that I wanted to fight as well is, and I think with that opportunity we'll be able to do that, is the fight for teachers to be able to teach and not teach to the test. Right now in Florida, if you get a D, you can lose funding from certain things, so teachers are forced to continue this no kid left behind, and we pass people forward or do what we do. Maybe now that we're getting that funding and we're able to create some of that, our own policy, we can get away from that and allow the teachers the freedom and incentivize them to teach. But then also we do need to go within our local, here district-wide, when that money comes in, instead of the, Nathan Boyles turnabout and Hayden Hudson brings it no, not joking. That was a joke. But what we need to do with that is incentivize our teachers here to be able to teach and remove the things that we don't want our children to be taught.
That's good.
Can I let my kids answer? No, I mean, it's definitely the federal government shutting down the Department of Education, I think is a good thing, with Trump doing that. And being able to get, the funding back to the states, that's very much a priority. And what do we do with that money? How do we make that money work the best for the individual student? Being a young person, probably an uninformed voter, no child left behind, that sounds like a really good deal, don't it? Don't leave nobody behind. But I didn't understand. I don't know how I voted on that. But anyway, there's a lot of laws that need to be changed. It does need to be, because these kids right here, they're in school at Baker, and it seems like all the time they're studying to take the test, And some kids are not test takers. Some kids stress when they get ready to take a test. And that shouldn't be something that's in our public school system. Each child should have a fair opportunity to learn reading and writing and arithmetic. But the one thing I'd like to see, the money that comes back to the state, and that is to put God and prayer back into our schools.
There you go.
So obviously part of District 3 is Okaloosa County, and because I know more about that district, Marcus Chambers, I think, is doing an absolutely wonderful job. He's getting all kind of really national and even beyond awards for what they do with the school here. I think they're doing a fantastic job, other than, giving Moms for Liberty a break, maybe, and being able to do some of those things on a state level without the control of the federal government, where we can remove the books and everything from the schools that we wanted to do. As far as that goes, I think it would be great to have it on a more local level. I don't have any kids anymore in school, so it's not anything I have. My daughter's 25. It's not anything that I have any recent experience with. But I think that, obviously we have great school systems here. We're training kids for the workforce, and I think it's important. That's a really important thing, because the workforce is what's going to eventually, impact the economy of the state of Florida. So I think that those training programs and those technological programs, getting children out of, the high school and into an RN job or LPN job or technical job, I think that those are very important, and those are things that I would really like to see more funding for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
This is a big question to pack into 1 minute, but I'm going to do my best. I'm a product of the Santa Rosa County School District. Thankfully, here in Santa Rosa and in Okaloosa counties, our schools are very good. We've got a lot of great teachers, a lot of great administrators. Of course, shutting down the Department of Education is a wonderful thing. I'm a 10th Amendment absolutist. If it's not in the U.S. Constitution, it belongs to the states, and that includes education. Ultimately, what needs to happen, the entire education system in Florida really needs to be overhauled, because as some of my fellow candidates have said, too often people are being taught for the test. When I was in school, it was the FCAT. We're always teaching for the FCAT, and the FCAT's over, and we'll watch a movie for the rest of the year. That's not preparing anybody for real life. And the truth of the matter is, not everybody needs to go to college. You can go to college for certain things. I'm fortunate enough to have gone to college to get a law degree. But if you're going to college to learn gender studies or something that it has no real world application, really people shouldn't feel the pressure to do that. We need to focus a lot on trade schools and work like that. That's very important. There's a shortage of that right now in Florida.
I think the question really was, our kind of take on the quality of the current system, and that, not to put too far of a point on it, but I have a heck of a time hiring young talent to grind on the back of garbage trucks. And what I mean by that is, for parents who are not engaged with their kids, I have some real concerns about the education that kids are getting these days, and that's unfortunate, but it's a reality. And so I think there's some good movement to be made, but I think there's definitely some work to be done. And kind of round that out, I'll just say my kids are homeschooled, and we made that decision, my wife and I, because of our concerns about the fact that the system's different now than it was even when we graduated. Back in 2001, things have just changed, and I dare say, not for the better.
All right, thank you. All right, that's all the questions I have. I think we should at least give them 1 minute to do a final pitch for why people should vote for you. And I'm glad that we were able to have this be friendly. I'm glad that we were able to see that all the candidates are good candidates. Matter of fact, I was telling somebody just a while ago, if I had a special machine, I'd like to just put you all in it and make one super charged all together. But anyway, so I'll give you go ahead, start back up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is my pitch to all the undecided voters in the room.
There's about 8 of them.
I'm just going to round out really by kind of echoing, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa County, District 3 have, they've got good choices today in this race, and I think that's, quite frankly, refreshing, and maybe not the way it's been in recent cycles, and so I'm excited to see that. I've enjoyed the process of getting out the campaign with these candidates. Everybody's been professional. It's been a really good experience. I wish more voters were engaged, but that's just the world in which we live in. As to me, clearly I think that I've got the kind of the unique set of both education, experience, and the talents to be able to go to Tallahassee and bring the right type of fight, complemented by collaboration, to be most successful for the folks in District 3. And that's what I'll do. We've been very fortunate with our business. We now have a leadership team that runs that. Being a kick-ass state representative will be my full-time job, and my commitment to the citizens of District 3. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rick, for putting this together. I want to thank all my fellow candidates and everyone up here on the, I guess I was going to say stage, but it's not really a stage. It's been more than respectful throughout this whole campaign, and I've had a wonderful time getting to know everybody, and I do hope we all stay in contact, and once the race is over and all work together, regardless of who wins, to make District 3 a better place for all of us to live. I'm not a career politician. A lot of people like to hate on me because I'm a lawyer, and lawyers got us where we are right now. Well, a lot of people don't realize half of our founding fathers were attorneys. Ron DeSantis, he's an attorney. People that argue before the Supreme Court to strike down unconstitutional laws are attorneys. So just because somebody's an attorney does not automatically make them the devil or a bad person. Obviously, there are a lot of attorneys that certainly give my profession a bad name. But I hope through getting to know voters, people realize that that is not me. I have the best interest of this district at heart. I was born and raised in this district. I've lived here my whole life. People always said, why did you come back from law school to Santa Rosa County? Because it's the best place in Florida to live, and I'm running to fight to make sure that stays that way.
I'm sure we've all gotten many questions that are all the same. They say, how do we know that when you get to Tallahassee, you're going to do what you're saying now that you're going to do? And for me, the answer is easy to that question, because for my life, I am 100% on follow through. So I can tell you that if I told you that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, or at least I'm going to do my best job possible. My daughter's 25 years old. And if you ask her if I've ever told her that I was going to do something that I didn't do, she has nothing on me in 25 years. And I consider that also the sign of a great leader, that I always follow through. And I tell you what, it makes work wonderful, because people have a great respect for me at work, because I do that work also. And follow through is something that we all should be doing every day in our lives, at home or at work. So it's something that's very important to me. I would like to thank CommitteeMan Rick Stevens for having us here tonight. And it was a great event. Thank you so much. If you want any more information about me, if you're still undecided at this time, visit voterena.com, or I'm Republican Rena on Facebook, and I hope you all drive safe. Thank you.
Excuse me, I gotta do it. Well, I'm definitely appreciative to be here and to have the opportunity to run for the state representative seat. It's been an amazing journey so far. Today I'm working for the people. Tomorrow I'm going to work for the people. And come April 2nd, I'm going to continue to work for the people, whether I'm elected or not, because it's in my blood to help others. That's just the way it is. So, I'm 48 years old, I think. Right? That's something I don't keep up with, but at any rate, I've always wanted to help people, and this is a good opportunity to do that and to bring the voice of the people back to Tallahassee. At the end of the day, you are the people that matter. You are the people that deserve to have great representation. And I don't know, we talk about lawyers and we talk about all these other people that should be there, but what about the average, common, everyday person? There has to be somebody that can come into that room and say, hey, did you think about this? Well, they probably didn't, because they don't live in the same world as me. So when it comes down to April the 1st, please go out and vote for common sense and a hard worker in this district that breaks his back and breaks his mind trying to figure out how to help people. Vote Wade Merritt come April the 1st to be your next House Representative for District 3. Thank you.
Morning. So I'll just capitalize real quick on something Hayden said, maybe it'll work in my favor. He said, no, all attorneys are bad, right? One thing I've heard is I've been out campaigning, it's like, we don't need another attorney because he may not put you in jail, but he may put your cousin in jail. So remember, I've never put nobody in jail. No, that's a joke. Just to capitalize on everything I said, everyone out here is a professional, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, but I will tell you that if I was lucky enough to be your elected official, there's nobody that's up here on this panel today that I wouldn't go to for answers, or there's nobody on here that I wouldn't offer a job if it was available on a staff or revert to. Everyone here has been a consummate professional. Each are strong in their own points. What I will say that I've heard at least 6 different events is, man, if I could take all of you into one, I mean, it was Captain America, not Lawyer America, right? So I could be your Sergeant Major America, because as we wrote to you earlier, something from each of these candidates you've got in common here. So if you don't want to choose one, you want all of them, I'm your candidate. What I'll also say is that nobody else up here can say is, and I'll use this last one here since they had run Jimmy run, but this was that Go Jamie Go. This is not the first president I've worked for. I've fallen under 8 separate presidents. I've had phone calls from the Bush family at Christmas. I've had autographs signed from my kids and phone calls. The Clintons, whether you like it or hate them, I had to work for them. You know, Donald Trump is the 2nd time around. Right? So I'm continuing to serve my country and serve my president. So if you want the most well-rounded and most relatable president in this community, then I hope you'll choose me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all the candidates that were brave enough to come out at last minute to this event. And I realize that yes, we have voters that it's very difficult to get them out to do anything. So I'm hoping that what we can do, if you did take some video, please post that up so that people can see these wonderful people. And we plan on doing that as well, so that they're all being able to be seen and heard. One of the elections that I voted in at the last minute here in Santa Rosa, it was because of a video that I saw of this kind of forum. And I listened to everybody speak, and then I chose the one that I liked the best. And so sometimes it's just one video where they hear you say what they wanted to hear, so that they felt good about voting in an election. And so hopefully get people out to vote, because that's our constitutional right. It's our citizenry right. You are a citizen for the very purpose of voting. And we need to keep doing that and encourage people to do that. So God bless you all, and certainly we wish you only the best in your campaigns leading up to April 1st, and may you all be blessed by God in what you do every day. So thank you again, and we will close it out today. So appreciate you for being here. We want to thank you for food. Thank you.